versus Black Hat SEO show. My name is Josh Bachynski. With me today, I have my partner in crime, Holly. Say hi, Holly.
Hey guys, what's up, everybody? Hey Josh.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm all right.
So today we have a very exciting White Hat versus Black Hat SEO show for you guys. Other people might be joining us. I'm not sure. It's summertime, so everyone's like, yeah, I'll join, and then you never hear from them again. Oh, and I always forget to mute the other broadcast. So now it's muted. At least I'm getting better at that. Faster at it anyway. And so other people might be joining us in a little bit. Ted, Clint, those kind of guys. But before they do, I wanted to talk to you. Holly and I wanted to talk to you. So a few of you may have noticed a few days ago, I tweeted out something to the effect of one of my SEO experiments has borne fruit. it's come out and it's borne some fruit, and I'll show you the results in a second here. But it's come out, it's borne some fruit, and it's very, very exciting. For those of you who've been following me for some months now, you might know what it is. Here's the problem, is that I can't really mention, and Holly and I can't really mention exactly what it is, because if we do, two bad things are going to happen. And please forgive me ahead of time. One bad thing that's going to happen is that everyone's going to try and do it, and they're going to do it wrong, and they're going to severely hurt their rankings. We've tested this pretty substantially now, and there's a right way to do it, and there's a wrong way to do it. Most of the wrong way is pretty neutral. Would you say, Holly? There doesn't seem to be 90% of the wrong way to do it. You're not going to hurt yourself. I'll be that honest, at least. Or do you agree or disagree?
I think if you do it wrong, you're definitely going to hurt yourself. And I think there's ways you can do it wrong, and then there's ways you can do it right. But I think someone going in blinded is going to do it wrong.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like all the people who are doing it right now. So yeah. I can't mention what this magical. Hi, Clint. Thanks for joining. Holly and I were just talking about our new discovery, which you know what it is because you're in the cool club. But we're trying not to mention exactly what the discovery is. It could be magical elf juice sent to your website. Who knows?
Oh, you're talking about that thing where you're.
Yeah, suddenly he's muted. That's exactly right. I used to do that when I was teaching university because one of my professors did it. If someone would come in late, he would say, and that's the most important thing on the exam. Anyway, moving on. So that's it's a terrible trick. But so I apologize to you guys, my viewers. Now, if you've been watching me for, the first thing that happens, you're going to do it wrong and you could very well hurt your rankings. The second bad thing that's going to happen is that somebody is going to watch this video, and it has happened in the past, is going to take my words verbatim, and they're going to run over to John Mueller, and I have seen this again and again. They're going to say, John Mueller, is no follow links a ranking factor, or John Mueller, is quality a ranking factor? You're going to ask. He's going to ask. Someone is going to ask him that direct question, and John Mueller is going to say no. But then John Mueller is going to go back to the engineers, and he's going to say, people have been asking about this. Tighten the security. So I can't mention directly what it is, but I can show you the results we had at the very least. I'll share that screen. And you'll see that there was definitely some results. So I can't show you what it is, sadly, but here's the results. We started the process on around July 6th. We ended the process around July 15th or so. It ran for maybe about a week. That's it. And then it didn't do anything at all. And I thought, oh, okay, there's no change. There's nothing going on here. And then there was a temporary one-place drop, which is a regular shift on my test server that makes that neither here nor there. And then it shot up to page 1, and it's still there. So it's really interesting. It's really exciting. It's something that, if you've been watching me for a few months, you could guess what it is. It's something that John Mueller leaked. This is as much as I'll tell you. It's something for my diehard fans who have listened to me for a long time. It's something that John Mueller had said directly, a direct leak, that I said I found interesting, and I was going to test it a couple months ago, and I've tested it, and I thought for sure it wouldn't work, and it didn't seem to work at first, and then a month later, boom, there was nothing else going on that server. There's nothing else going on with those pages. That is a single variable clean test. Of course, it's not our only test. It's the only one I have a screenshot of. Holly has been testing this for quite some time too. Holly, do you want to talk about the testing you've been doing in general?
Yeah, so some of the testing that I have been doing, somebody has
That's Ted. Just keep going.
Okay, sorry.
Not a problem.
Some of the testing that I was doing, you definitely can do it wrong, because I have tanked even videos. I've tanked videos. They've come back maybe a couple weeks later. Some of them have not even come back yet. I think there's wrong and there's right ways to do it, and just because like someone else says to do it, I think you need to test it yourself. So.
Yeah, no, you're right. There's and we've been doing this for not only for you've been doing it, I've been doing it for ranking on Google. You've also been using this to help boost rankings on YouTube, and we can see that going as well.
Yeah, on my YouTube rankings, I've gone from like not even in the first 30 pages of YouTube to #1 or #2 listings within 2 to 3 days. Some stuff is taking 2 to 3 weeks, but like, local stuff, it generally is bouncing within 4 or 5 days, and then adding in some other stuff that I'm not talking about, of things that me and you were testing, that I'm testing off to the side, that I'm trying to be more quiet about, because I don't want to get back to Google. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be quiet about it, but I'm also like, oh, this test might be working. You know what I mean? Like, kind of saying it's working, but not really saying it's working.
Right. It's early days for some of the testing, but for some of the testing, we're very sure and we know exactly how it's working and whatnot. So I'm very sorry, everyone listening, for the big tease. I normally don't like to operate like this. It's very rare that I'll have something that's so good that I can't share it. Like, for example, years ago, I had a penguin hack where I could dodge the penguin penalty when it used to be a penalty, and that used to be using a rel canonical and canonically like the index.html to an index.php or an index.html to a default.html. And the 301 would move the penguin penalty, but doing a canonical on default kind of index pages like that seemed to shake off the penguin penalty. Penguin 1 at least, and Penguin 2 as well. Of course, Penguin doesn't demote sites anymore, so it doesn't matter if I tell you what that is. But at the time, I couldn't say it, because if Google found out about it, then they would take their programmers 5 seconds to close that little loophole that they forgot to close. So that's what that was. If you're anyone who's been watching me for a while, yes, Patrick has been watching me for a while. But this one, I'm sorry, I can't mention it, but we will mention it. And so where's the sales pitch, you're wondering? Here it comes. Here's the soft sales pitch. Holly and I will be discussing this openly at this conference that we're having at the end of August. It's called the White Hat versus Black Hat SEO Symposium, and we'd be happy to spill it then. And in a few months, I'll probably mention it. I probably won't be able to contain myself, and I'll mention it. And Holly and I are thinking of maybe also being able to provide this as some form of service. So if you're interested, if you want to know what this is, email me. If you want to come to the conference, by all means, come to the conference. But it is a crazy thing. It's not links. It's not CTR. It's not domain name searches in Google. It's not that kind of stuff. It's something I can't mention. However, moving on then. So if you want to find out what that is, email me or come to the conference. That's enough of that sales pitch. I will move on to stuff that I can tell you. What's new in Black Hat SEO is that I ran another test that paid off recently, and I also discussed this with Clint as well. And it's that apparently JavaScript redirect links are now passing juice. We have a test page that we were going to, hopefully Ted could talk to us. So, hey, Ted, can you finally talk?
Sorry about that. Having lots of technical difficulties today.
No problem. Not a problem at all. Thanks for joining us, Ted. So another experiment I can tell you guys about is that apparently JavaScript redirect links are passing juice. There's all kinds of interesting things you can do with JavaScript redirects. Again, I can't get too much into that one as well, because then Clint and Holly might get angry. But I think it's pretty obvious, and a lot of people already know, and I've already said publicly, so I'll say this part again, that if you have a lot of these blogs are using, and Google Search Console is already tracking these, so you could already infer their links that are passing juice. But I have an empirical test to show it, that it's like a normal link on a page, but it links to an internal server-side JavaScript that does a JavaScript redirect to another page. So a lot of these Web 2.0 kind of blogs on Tumblr and whatnot are doing this. And so if you're looking for bad backlinks, you might want to include those in the look. Unfortunately, none of the other link-based tools can see it. The only tool you can use to see it right now, quite frankly, is really smart Google searches, or that might not even work all the time. You can use Google Search Console to see all your links that are pointing to you, and you can make an educated guess there as to what the good links to the bad links are. Not that, in my opinion, you should do anything with that information until you get a manual penalty. If you don't have any kind of manual penalty, you shouldn't do anything at all. Because I have another experiment that we did, the negative SEO experiment that Clint helped me with. He sent 1,000 links to a page, ranked it #1. It fell off the results for about a week, and it came back at #1. The other pages on that site no longer rank, but this page is ranking at #1 strong. And so is there negative SEO? It's kind of a question there. So I don't even know if you should do anything if you think you've had negative SEO. So with that confusing preamble, so that's kind of what's new in white hat and black hat from my end of things. Is there anything new you guys want to talk about? No, okay. Ted, you demuted yourself as if this big lead-in, as if you're going to say something.
Well, I missed the first half of the preamble, so I'm kind of at a loss on the discussion.
Oh, the discussion is really being annoying to my fans.
Uh-oh.
And trying not to be, but this thing that we recently discovered, this experiment we've been doing, which I'm trying not to mention exactly what it is, because it can be harmful. If people do it the wrong way, they're going to definitely hurt their rankings. And if I say what it is, you know, blue cats, they're going to run off and buy blue cats, and they're going to destroy their rankings. So I don't want to say what it is, but this experiment has been really exciting. We're going to talk about it at the conference. Ted will also be there as well, presenting his fantastic stuff. If you want more information about the conference, I put the link in the description at the bottom of the video. Okay.
Yeah, I've got a brief mention on white hat stuff.
Please.
So far in online retail, I'm seeing a decent boost without any effort whatsoever, simply because Google stopped doing the Google Instant functionality. And I think what's happening is we're reclaiming long tail traffic. And the way Google Instant worked is, as you typed in Google, it would show you search engine results.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would find in e-commerce is that if a shopper was going to search for, you know, sterling silver amethyst bracelet, by the time they type in sterling, they're seeing results, they're seeing shopping results, and they're potentially clicking on things.
Mm-hmm.
So what ends up happening is that long tail search intent that they had when they started typing gets usurped by shorter tail search results that come, you know, possibly come from the autocomplete. And now that that isn't the case, I think I'm seeing more of that long tail traffic returning to my pages.
Really? Okay. Well, that's a positive thing. That's great. Just to recap, in case people didn't understand what that means. So when Google removed Google Instant, the instant search results, the auto-suggest is still there, but the instant search results that pop up when you do a search are no longer showing, because Google has more than 50% of their traffic on mobile, and that doesn't work on mobile, so they turned it off, which is really weird. I don't know why they didn't keep it for desktop, why they would turn it off, but
well, I'm not complaining. I'm happy to see it gone. As somebody that has a website and largely from long tail search intent, this is a good thing.
No doubt. So that's very interesting. That's a win. At least you can get back some long tail traffic. Okay, so let's move on. I'm gonna move on to the segment in my show I like to call New SEO Questions from Quora. New SEO Questions from Quora. Usually Quora is a goldmine of information of where we can get SEO questions. And so here's the site search I did on the new questions from Quora on SEO. And let's see if we can answer them, just to be completely random and really annoying to the people on Quora. Okay, so where can I learn SEO? That's great. I like this one. How hard is SEO? What do you guys think? How hard is SEO compared to some other industry? How hard would you say SEO is?
Well, sorry, you go, Clint.
It's terribly hard. You should move on to social media marketing.
Right.
Well, there's two answers. There's how hard does our industry make it look? And we don't do ourselves any favors by churning out, literally millions of blog posts that say, 10 ways to improve your SEO.
Yes.
And, no other industry does that. You don't see doctors creating blog posts, 10 things to make your next operation successful. They're just not doing that.
Yes.
But in the actuality, if you can get past that superficial facade that our industry puts on itself, there's actually thousands and thousands of very complicated details to being a successful expert. And you'd have to specialize, and it can take years to master. So it's a trade and a discipline just like any other.
I would agree. I'd say it's at least as difficult as a master's level degree. I'd say at least. Having done a master's and half a PhD, the amount of thinking required and research required to do SEO, I'd say it's the equivalent of doing a master's degree.
I don't know. I think I got a master's too, and if I was comparing those to apples, I think SEO is harder because you're required to, like, getting the degree, you kind of know where you're going to research. You're in that group, but with SEO, you have to look beyond that and use your own intelligence, which is a lot of people, as you know, is a little bit hard for them to apply.
That's the point. Is that you have to be an autodidact. You have to be a self-learner. You have to be someone who's curious and is going to research on their own without someone telling you to do it. At least if you want to be an SEO consultant, you want to be a standalone SEO consultant, or you want to run an agency. If you want an SEO job, it's a little easier. I'm not belittling people who are permanent in-house SEOs. It can be quite difficult. It's a little easier in that your list of clients might be smaller, maybe, unless you're an in-house SEO for an SEO agency. Then you have all the agency problems and the in-house problems. But no, I agree. It is very difficult. It's getting quite complex.
It's also a trade that tends to favor a jack of all trades, because you need to understand web development. You need to understand traditional marketing best practices. You need to understand how to configure networks and servers.
Yeah.
You need to understand quality assurance processes and testing.
Yeah.
It can be very technical. It could be very
soft skills,
analytical.
Yeah.
You need a lot of different skills.
No, you're absolutely right. It's kind of mind-boggling. Like imagine just a guy or a girl who just does SEO and they get a DDoS attack. They don't even know what that is. Like couldn't even start to look how to figure out, how to fix that or change that or stop that or weird 301 redirects or getting weird 500 level server errors. They don't even know what that is. So no, it can be quite difficult. But the rewards are luscious if you can succeed. But it's very hard to succeed. So I don't want to be negative. I just want to give people straight up what the real deal is and what they'll be running into if they try and do SEO. Let's go back to Cora here and see if we can answer any more Cora questions to not the people who asked it on Cora. What is indexing in SEO? What's that?
Well, that's basically getting Google to crawl your site and to list it somewhere in the search results.
That's a good answer. I'm not even gonna go further. What is Yellow Page in SEO? What is this question? Like what?
Yellow Page in SEO.
Yeah, I know. I didn't think Yellow Pages were so essential to all of SEO that it was a basic level question like that. But
honestly, just looking at that, but they're probably like how influential would that site be on your SEO campaign? That could be one aspect of it.
Yeah.
Or I'm a sucker and I just paid these guys $3,000 to do my SEO, and all they did was post a video on their YouTube channel for me. That could be the other side of it. So
yeah, I'd imagine it's local SEO related, and they're wondering about, maybe local data aggregators or local citations.
Yeah. Does it have any value for that or whatever?
Yeah, no, that's definitely right. The last question from these guys: what are the best resources for learning about search engine optimization? That's a good question. What do you think the best resources for learning about SEO are? At the basic level and then at the advanced level?
Scientific method. There is so much crap on the internet that you have to first understand what you can trust and why. And if you can't make those determinations, then you're going to be at the mercy of all the crap you read. And most of the information on SEO on the web is wrong and potentially harmful. So you really have to start with testing, experimentation, measurement, proving things for yourself, and definitely setting up a test website that you can experiment with before you put your ideas into practice on money sites.
Yeah, your money site you're trying to make might not be a good test to test things. Maybe not. I don't know. Depends how quickly you can get on the site up. But no, you're totally right. I get this question a lot, and I struggle with the answer because, it's like if you can't find good resources on your own, then you're probably not cut out to be an SEO. You know what I mean? Like if you can't use Google to find readily available information, and if you can't determine what's a good resource from a bad one, then maybe the job is not for you. But then again, maybe that's a little bit of an elitist answer, probably.
Well, I think that's a bit extreme. Like it took me, a year to figure out what is a good resource and how to find more like them.
Yeah.
But it took me that step of learning how to figure out if something is true, if something is viable. And then I started to trust people that I could verify independently. And by doing experimentation, by taking measurements, then I can start to filter out the bullshit, because I would see on a blog, somebody would say something that contradicts measurements from the field. Right. And I go, okay, these guys have no data, moving on. Yeah. And so by doing that scientific method, by taking the measurements, I can now skip the BS much faster.
Of course, not everybody has the skill set that you do, Ted, to be able to run these kinds of tests, or has the time to run these kinds of tests. That's why you should listen to people like us. That's why. Wow, amazing how that works. See how that auto sell just fills right in there. You should listen to people like us, and maybe get the Cora software so you can run these tests much more easily from a brilliant guy who wrote it.
I'd argue test what we say too.
Of course.
Until definitely. You just don't know.
I will be the first person to say you should test everything I say. You should test everything Ted says. You should test what Clint and Holly say. You should test it all, because at the end of the day, empirical method, in my opinion, is the de facto standard, is the highest level of the SEO evidence. I give my 5 levels of SEO evidence all the time. I'm going to do it again. It's empirical experiments, single variable experiments, correlation studies in your particular niche, not the mass ones that Searchmetrics does, but the ones like Cora does, correlation studies, experiments on your own sites, and what your experience says, what Google says, filtered through common sense. And then finally, last but not least, what SEOs say, like me talking right now. That's the bottom level of evidence as far as it goes. And quite frankly, most of the SEO people in the industry, they don't get any further than this bottom level of evidence. Like 90% of the industry doesn't get any further than this bottom level of evidence. They don't listen to Google. They don't run their own experiments and really see what's going on. They don't do a single variable correlation. They don't do correlation studies, and they don't ever do single variable experiments.
Yeah, and one of the things I like about some of the mastermind groups out there, SIA being one of them, is that it's not just the experimentation, it's that it's a community of people that actually try to reproduce each other's results. And it's that kind of peer review that is just immensely valuable. one experiment off on its own is practically worthless. But when you get people repeating the result, that's special.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's definitely true. For people are asking me, what are these groups? Where can I get them? I'm just going to put them here. If you're interested in the Search Intelligence Agency or in the SEO Tool Labs, Cora, that's TED Software Cora. I put the links in the description. You can go check it out if you want to check it out. If you want it yourself, or you can just listen to us, or you can just roll the dice at Vegas and see what happens. Okay. Oh, sorry. Howard Young says, Josh is giving us the finger when he says body of evidence. I apologize. What was the third level? That was correlation. Correlation, Ted. Correlation. No, correlation. I love Ted, and correlations are good. Okay, so let's move on to the section, which is the substance of this show, essentially, and it's the debate between white hat and black hat. What is better, white hat SEO or black hat SEO? And this week, I think I'm going to take the position that white hat sucks because it's a terrible backstabbing industry where everybody hates each other and nobody shares any information, and you might actually find more camaraderie in the black hat world. True or false?
Welcome to the dark side.
Won over Josh. I never thought I'd see the day.
Pretending.
I might not be able to call him, the pussy white hatter in Canada now if he goes to the black hat side. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I guess, for taking away that from you. But no, but seriously, I was supposed to do a white hat versus black hat kind of debate show on the SEMrush channel next week, and they abruptly canceled it because numerous people in the white hat world from the Disavow Gate days emailed them and complained that they were angry that I was on the show. And so SEMrush cowardly, in a very, I'll be fully blunt, in a very cowardly fashion, in a lack of knowledge and respect of free speech. I wasn't even talking on the show. I was supposed to be the referee to keep the white hats and the black hats from tearing each other apart. I wasn't even giving any of my opinions. But apparently some loser white hats went on there and complained, and now I'm going to find out who they are and negative SEO all their sites.
I don't think you have to, because if they have the time to complain, then they're probably not ranking. They're probably not making money. So,
and that's my biggest complaint about the white hat communities is they tend to be very closed-minded, especially when your opinions and your data don't match their opinions and their data.
Well, that's exactly what caused the debate, because I did that Disavow Whiteboard Friday where I said, look at the evidence you think proves the Disavow works doesn't prove it. So give me better evidence. Otherwise, don't say it works. And they had a conniption fit. And I knew they would, because I knew they were selling a Disavow solution for thousands of dollars, which took them 5 minutes of work. They ran the site through Link Research Tools, got a Disavow list from there, and just fired it into Google Search Console. It takes 2 minutes to do. They're charging thousands of bucks for this and deranking sites in the process. And so, stupid me, I got angry because I found this immoral, and I made a comment about it. Maybe I just should have kept my mouth shut. I don't know, dude. Do you think when you see people ripping off other people in the SEO world, you should open your mouth? Or does that make you any better or worse than the haters online that are attacking me for reasons that are beyond my understanding?
If it gets under my skin, I have no problem clearly telling the person I'm coming after them and that they need to shut their mouth. But if
that is a terrifying thought.
I mean, people are scared of me, so they usually, try to be pretty cool with me. But I think you get that in the white hat world, just like everybody else said. So if there's and I've done it before. There's been courses out there, and I've looked at the course, or I kind of read reviews about it, or I looked at it myself, and I'm like, this is like so 2015, 2014. This is not going to do anything. So I'm going to tell the people who want to watch the video the truth about it. And I've gotten a lot of haters, and I really don't care, because you're gonna get the truth from me. You're not gonna get this bullshit crap from me,
Right, and that's of course why you have haters. anyone who's willing to tell the truth on any subject is going to get someone who's going to be angry at them for doing that. But to move the conversation into maybe something that's more interesting for people other than just hearing me bitch and complain. But the last thing I'll say on that point is everyone who listens to my stuff, if you happen to like me and like what I say, tweet SEMrush on Twitter and tell them you're disappointed that the show has been canceled that I was supposed to be on. Let's see if we can get as many people saying that SEMrush sucks because they got me off of there as the haters who said Josh sucks, get him off of there, whatever it was. Anyway, but that's something I want to say about the white hat world is that, like I said, they only go on this bottom level of evidence, and this is like SMX Advanced and MozCon and all those kind of conferences. You know, they're just writing articles about content marketing because I think that's the entirety of SEO for the most part. Some of them think technical SEO is all the SEO, or buying links because they all buy links. They're all hypocrites, right? They say they're white hat, but if they're acquiring links for their customers for the purposes of ranking, that's black hat, guys. Any purposely acquiring links for the purposes of ranking is black hat. But of course, they all very well know, and even one of my major detractors, what's her name? Sugar Ray, I think that's her name. She fully admits in public that, however, buying links is industry standard, even for the white hats. So, but that aside, when you're trying to learn, I'm talking to people who are trying to learn SEO now, back to that previous discussion. It's dangerous to listen to that kind of cult of the white hats who go to these conferences, because not that they're all dumb and not that they don't say occasionally some good stuff, but it's just that they don't have the 5 levels of evidence. They don't seem to talk with black hats. They don't seem to be open to new information, and they definitely don't react well like a scientist would, a true scientist would, when you present them information that contradicts their beliefs. It's almost like they have, dare I say, a religious belief in SEO, and if you go against it, well, you know what happens when you go against someone's religious beliefs. At best, the Thanksgiving dinner is ruined, and at worst, really bad things can happen. So that would be a group. I don't know, personally, I want to hear your guys' opinion. That'd be a group that I'd be very leery to try and learn from, because you're going to get a very skewed one side kind of look at the argument.
I think it goes back to your original point, though, is just to test what everyone is telling you and take it for what it is. If you want to follow them like a blind monkey, then go for it. Or if you want to follow Holly like a blind monkey, go for it. But if you want to actually learn and progress and grow and be your own, following your own moral compass, then test and do it that way.
Yeah, I don't care what is or isn't a factor. I really care that there's good evidence and data to support it. But I'm not emotionally invested in one factor, being a strong factor. At the end of the day,
it has to be a factor. I must test this.
Well, it's so weird because, I test white hats when I'm at trade shows. I'll show them compelling, data that says that meta keywords do correlate with rankings, and so you shouldn't write them off. But they just don't care because, 1,000 different blogs told them that meta keywords isn't a thing and never will be again. So they won't even look at the data. They just laugh and walk away. And I don't think that's professional. I don't think that's academic. I think that's what you said. It's a religion. It's blog believers.
And you know why they're so tight-knit and why they care so much about reputation and towing the party line is because that's their marketing strategy, right? That's their branding strategy. They brand themselves as the ethical SEOs. They're the white hats. And that's why you should hire me, is because I am an upstanding white hat and I have an upstanding reputation with the other white hats, and that's why you should hire me. That's not why you should hire them. You should hire them because they produce results or they can show you some form of results. That's why they should be hired, because they have the knowledge, because they know what these 5 levels of evidence are and they talk about them. And so, but I find that interesting, that it makes perfect sense that that their religious fervor matches their branding and marketing style, because that's what you would expect, right? When reputation is your only branding and marketing position or sales value proposition, right? Your SVP, then you have to jealously guard that. And when I attacked that when I attacked their conclusions about the disavow file, and that's why they hate me so much. And that's why they attacked me so vehemently. And that's why apparently years later they still are, because I attacked their food source. I attacked their money source, essentially. So I understand why they got so angry. I understand why they attacked me so hard.
Yeah, you just got to be careful about it. You know, I'm kind of like Holly. If your shit sucks, then I'm going to tell you, especially if people that trust me are asking me for my opinion. So shut up.
Speaking of people asking for your opinion,
I know no one calls me until I'm doing a recording.
And the other thing that does push my button. So here's the formula, internet. When people don't care about the factor measurements, they don't care about the correlation data, they just write it all off, and they say correlation is not causation without even thinking about what they're saying. And they use that as the excuse to not have data, to not use math, and to not collect measurements. And you ask these people, they never have any data to support their recommendations, but they'll argue any data you show them by saying correlation is not causation.
Well, here's the data they have. They have a live site that has hundreds of ranking factors affecting it at any given moment, and they did something 3-4 weeks ago, and then they saw a raise in analytics, and they conclude, therefore, that that's what caused it. If they want to, and if someone else shows them the same data, they say, well, cause is not correlation, and therefore that's a fallacy, right? In Latin, it's post hoc ergo propter hoc. After this, therefore not before this, therefore not after this. So just because something happened previously doesn't mean that this is the effect. You need a lot of correlation to be able to draw what the answer is. You need 5 levels of evidence. You need evidence from different aspects. You need to repeat the experiment, see if it happens again in a different environment. That's why scientists do these things, right? But it drives me crazy like there's a middle ground position. Correlation is all we have. There's no such thing as causation as far as we don't know that for sure, right? All we have is this information from our senses. So it goes too far to say that no particular causal event happened in this circumstance, and it goes too far to say that it happened for sure, 100% for sure. All you have is a fabric of evidence which starts to paint a picture. So sorry, going off on a rant there. Rant hand. It's the rant hand section. That's what really pisses me off about these articles, is that they're making a logical fallacy on both ends of the spectrum at the same time by saying that assuming causation exists and saying you don't have enough correlation to prove it, or assuming that no matter what correlation you have, you can't tell anything from it at all. And that's your point, Ted, is that when you start to get a whole lot of correlation going, you don't have to care what the ranking factors are anymore. You just go with the correlations, and eventually rankings happen. What caused it? I don't know. I changed 400 things because I tested 400 things and saw that they correlated, and so I changed it all. Could have been the meta keywords for all you know. It does correlate with rankings, right? At the end of the day, none of us know what the ranking factors are. Meta keywords could be a ranking factor. A lot of your tests show that it correlates with rankings, so how do we know it's not a ranking factor? You know, that's why I put it at this level of evidence. It contradicts what John Mueller says. It contradicts because he says meta keywords not a ranking factor, right? All the SEOs at the very bottom level say it's not a ranking factor, but we have correlations here saying that it is. So this one trumps all these. Anyway, that's my rant for today. Boom, Josh shuts down the conversation. Okay, let's move on then. Let's move on to the next segment. And this segment is one of my favorite segments. It's in the last 5-10 minutes we got here. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat here. Make sure you give them 3 asterisks so I can see them. Ask questions with this asterisk. And I know I misspelled questions, but ask questions if you want us to ask us questions in the chat there. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, if you're not watching this on YouTube live, then get onto my Twitter or follow me on YouTube, and you will get notices of when we're having these hangouts and when you can come ask us live questions. So until we get some live questions, I am going to go to the last section here, is what would Google do? So we've been hearing lots of information about this mobile first index. They were supposed to roll it out in 2017. They have not rolled it out, and now Google is saying that they're not going to roll it out to 2018. all the information that I have so far from it is that they are going to be ranking desktop sites on mobile signals, including mobile quality, mobile links. If you have, right now, it's going to be a huge problem. If you have responsive design, then the only problem is that if your mobile users behave differently than your desktop users. But if you have an m.whatever domain separate from your desktop domain, and all the links are pointing to your desktop domain, and they're going to start ranking you on this domain, that's going to be a big issue. And right now, John Mueller is saying that's the way it's going to work. Do you guys think that's the way it's going to work? Do you think that's how it's going to play out?
Well, of course, people are going to behave differently on the mobile format versus the desktop and responsive. If you move the links from the side of the page to the top of the page, if you bury them in a form select, that changes behavior. So
yeah,
all of those metrics change. Definitely.
Do you think that's what Google is going to rank sites on? Do you think they're telling the truth, or do you think they're going to separate it out? It'll cause too much of a problem for them?
Well, the growth is far larger in the mobile world as more people get faster and better mobile devices. So if Google's going to go where the opportunity is, then the large growth is all on the mobile side. So I'd imagine they would put a lot of focus there.
Yeah, well, that's definitely what they've been talking about. John Mueller is, of course, a public relations guy. He has to be careful about what he says, but and he could take that hard line to warn us. But then behind the scenes, they might be a little nicer and handle things a bit more nicely. You'll never really know. But yeah, so as far as we know right now, when the mobile first index rolls out, it's supposed to be in the first quarter of 2018. Ted will know right away because you'll see a whole bunch of different correlations.
Yeah, but I bet they're late.
Yeah, I bet they're not in the first quarter of 2018.
Yeah,
they probably will release it in the first or second quarter of 2018 and won't tell us until the last quarter of 2018. They're like, oh, by the way, we flipped a switch months ago. You guys thought it was you named it a new animal. You named it Tyrannosaurus Rex or something. Whatever you named it. You named it Antarctica or something. The new ice sheet fell off and smashed us in the head. Okay.
I'm going to go take the opposite route, and I don't think they're going to put it at all. I think they're like the instant search being removed for everybody. That's another indication too that they're just going to be my opinion, the common sense and business sense is why have two separate indexes? Why not do what they said in the first place and make mobile a ranking factor for all of the search results? And that's what I think was going to happen. There's not going to be a mobile first index and then the desktop index that comes up behind it later like it was originally proposed. I think just mobile, if you're not responsive by now, then you suck anyway and don't deserve to be at number one. So basically, I think the stance Google's going to take, because really everything's just driving up mobile revenue. How can they monetize mobile more? And like Ted said, the only reason they're focusing on it is because there's more people getting cell phones that can access the internet than there are desktops. And you add in all the third world countries, like in Afghanistan, nobody had power, much less a desktop computer, but they all had mobile phones accessing the internet. So that's all they're doing. They're just monetizing that for the click-through rate for their AdWords campaigns, and so they can generate more mobile revenue. If you read their annual statements, it all says we need more mobile revenue, we're static in here. And then next thing you know, AMP shows up, and then this mobile first index shows up, and then the Google websites, and then Google Plus is closing down, and then they're tearing apart Google My Business. All these people are saying, it's going to be mobile first only. You guys can all kiss my ass because you're not reading between the lines. And that's Google needs to make more money for mobile, and they want you sheep to follow along and add your AMP and all that other stuff so you can keep people on the search so that they can generate more clicks off of mobile. And that's all that's for. So I don't think that mobile first index is going to happen, honestly.
Well, so there you go. That's Clint's opinion for sure. I'll reduce my microphone, my volume here. Okay, so I'm all right then. that Clint says I'm not going to touch that. I definitely think that it's going to happen, and I think there's not going to have two indexes. They're going to have one index. They're just going to get rid of all the desktop sites and put the mobile sites in it. They're just changing the user agent on the Googlebot crawler to get the mobile version of the site. So definitely, if your mobile site is not in order, you should get that in order right away. If you don't know what that means, or if you don't know if your mobile traffic is any good, email me, and I'd love to help you out. Now, we do have some questions in the chat, so I will try to answer them. Christian asks, Josh, when will you tell us about your penguin hack? I just did earlier in the, I don't know if you saw it, earlier in the broadcast, I told you what my penguin hack was from way back 2 or 3 years ago. It was doing a rel canonical between like whatever your index page was, index.php to default.html. And that was shaking off the penguin penalty. Penguin 1, because Penguin 1, as Matt Cutts admitted, was only affecting the index page. So that's what the sites that it seemed to work on. And so that's what I was doing, and it did work. It doesn't work anymore, and it doesn't do anything anymore. Penguin doesn't do anything anymore, so it doesn't really matter. Or at least it doesn't seem to. That's what they told us. Why would Google lie? Somebody asks, what would you do to look for trending products besides using Google Trends and AdWords Keyword Planner? That's a great question. I've been looking for a good tool to find niches myself, and I have not found any great tools to do this. If anybody knows any, I'd love to know a great tool for finding niches that are lucrative, that are up and coming, other than Google Trends and AdWords Keyword Planner. If you can find it, let me know, and then I'll let you know. Furik asks, when calculating your keyword density and comparing it to other ranking sites, do you do it by page or across the entire site? It's by page. So every page ranks for a particular topic. That topic should be within two standard deviations of the mean. So if they have 1% keyword density, the tests seem to show if you go over 2%, that's where you start getting into over-optimization water. So you'd want to be between the 1 and the 2% is where you'd want to be. Exact match, I think exact match keywords is still important. I know you guys may have a slightly different opinion. Ted?
Well, I'm not a believer in over-optimization. I keep trying to test that with my sites and trying to over-optimize the page so Google will penalize it with, on-page things.
So you think
Kyle's test better?
Sorry, Ted. So you think Kyle's test he did in SIA, where he's shown that a few times, you think there's something wrong with his test, or?
Well, he got a result in a single variable test, but I'm doing something different. I'm going to a high competition keyword where I rank number 3 or 4, and I push up the keyword density to an absurd level, and I move up 2 spots.
Define absurd. What's the average, and what are you pushing it to?
Oh, well, I'm looking at what the competition is doing, and in some of the niches I'm in, it might be 700 matches per page. Mm-hmm. And as a percentage of the text content on the page, I mean, in some cases, it's mostly just the keywords.
Right. Yeah. E-commerce page, there's not a lot of text to dilute it.
Yeah. So, when you look at something like that, where's that point of diminishing returns that Matt Cutts used to talk about? He said in that video on keyword stuffing, if you say it 1 time, you're here, and 2, and you're doing better and better. But eventually, the more you say it, the worse you start to do. I've never found that point of diminishing returns. I've found niches where the page 1 websites can have as many as 10,000 keyword matches, and they're on page 1 of Google. I mean, is the point of diminishing returns, is it at 11,000 keyword matches, 12,000?
Yeah, it could be.
Your matches are different than what most people are thinking, though. That's
true.
What you're saying is a match is not exact match keyword. So
yeah, and people define keyword stuffing in a stupid way. The way that most people define it is the way it is on Wikipedia, where if you repeat the exact same word, back to back without anything in between it, that's keyword stuffing. No, that's not what everybody's doing on their websites. They're finding ways to say their exact search terms and their relevant matches as many times as they can all over the page. that is keyword stuffing. And when you take that to absurd levels, I'm not measuring a point of diminishing returns. And from niche to niche, those counts get into the high hundreds, into the low thousands, and at the extreme cases up around 10,000.
Yeah. So it's interesting that in the wild, you're not seeing the same results, or you don't know if you're seeing the same results as we've seen in testing. As I said, it doesn't matter what the ranking factors are. I'll go off the evidence that I have right now. And the evidence I have right now says my single variable tests say right now that if you go over a certain percentage, there is going to be a de-optimization for that page.
Yeah, but my measurements from the field say that that's not a governing factor on how it works.
I don't know. All I have is the evidence that I have. So until you can disprove, you can show what's wrong with his experiments, I'll have to go with his experiments.
Muzz told me this one time.
Yeah.
The results that have 10,000 keyword matches on page, and they're on page 1, that's proof to the contrary. The existence of that.
No, sir, it's not. Not until you show me the percentages. Not until you show me how Kyle's test is flawed in the way he did it.
Hey, Josh.
Yes.
So I just did my own sort of stupid test because I wanted to see how this changed in the mass page world.
Yeah.
And I took a page and put 140 stuffed words. I literally listed them down, and I did invisible text too. And then I had another page and listed them down without invisible, and they ranked within seconds of getting it indexed. So the keyword I think mine would be pretty high. It has to be at least, like, there's not that many words on the page, but the anchor keyword is exact. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. And Google does, John Mueller does say that the anchor text in the page is also keywords on the page as well, and that can be over-optimized as well. We've never tested anchor text per se, but yeah, it's really difficult to disprove what Kyle is doing unless you do exactly what Kyle did and get a different result. Right. And but it's still a valid point to say, but in the field we never see this. Then we have to say, okay, well, what else is going on in the field that's not included in Kyle's test? And then we need to try and arbitrarily include those factors until we see what the A, B causes C, or not A or not B causes C, right? And that's science, folks, and that's what we're saying people have to do. I want to answer these questions before we need to leave. Steve asks, how important is fresh content to Google? What changes are needed for Google to see it as fresh? In my opinion, I want to say a couple things about this. You could change any little thing on the page and it's a change. Like if you change the date, you say updated on a new date, then it's new, and Google might crawl it and take that into as a freshness factor into account. I know they take the date into account as a freshness factor. Will they give you any boost for it is the question. And they will or not, depending on how timely they think that keyword is. They have an algorithm that determines how timely certain keywords are, what's trending, what's not trending, like what they have on Google Trends. And remember, there's sets of algorithms. There's a set of algorithms for Google News that's gonna operate differently, and there's a set of algorithms just for general global information search, which is going to operate differently. So yes, in general, freshness is a factor. Yes, in general, you should be having fresh content. Yes, in general, you can use fresh content as a way to try and boost your rankings. Is it the best way? Not in my opinion. Is it something you should be spending a lot of time worrying about? Not in my opinion. There's more important ranking factors. That's my opinion. Anyone else want to say something about that? Yes, no?
I agree. It used to be we could just change the dates and then resubmit to Google, and they'd give us a little bit of a boost off of that from freshness. So I don't see it anymore. But that said, there's something to be said for taking your content and your evergreen content, quote unquote, and just updating it and then resubmitting it, resyndicating it. And that I've seen that work. So
yeah. It's like, sorry, go ahead, Ted.
And I like a mathematical definition of unique, because what we're talking about is the page is different. So the uniqueness algorithm that they use to detect a new page or new content comes into play. I had someone from Google tell me way back, like more than 10 years ago, very dated information, that Google looks at 13 consecutive words on the page being the same means it's duplicate content. And if you think about that, there's, 250,000 words in the English language. About 40,000 of them are commonplace in web speak. So let's reduce that down to 25,000. So that's a 13-digit base 25,000 number. It's astronomical.
Yeah.
So if you want to play against that definition of unique, since you don't know where the sentences start or stop or where Google does its offset on the page, you have to make every sixth word different. And that should be unique by that standard. Right.
Yeah. Yes. The one that boggles the mind. The math is two, but that is very old information as well. So who knows if they're still doing it that way. But yeah. So I personally, I don't think freshness is that big of a factor. I'd be going after other factors, quite frankly. Brian asks, any SEO tips for maximizing Facebook feeds and reach? So I guess, Brian, you're asking about Facebook SEO. Sadly, Steve, our Facebook aficionado, has been missing in action for a while. He's been on vacation. He picked up a really big client, probably from my show. No, I don't know where he got it from. He picked up a really big client, and he's been really, really busy. So, but email Steve, he might be able to ask you, or email me, and I might be able to answer. But Facebook SEO is basically buy likes, and you will rank, and that's how it works. There's some other detail to it, but I think that's basically it. Somebody asked, what are some black hat sites to buy links? Whoa, what should you look for when buying those links? You should not be buying links off sites. Even if you want to do black hat, you should be a little bit more clandestine about it and not be buying links, in my opinion, from where everyone else is buying them, because that's definitely a way to be buying links that are probably in a disavow file somewhere and are probably have been machine learned or being ignored. But that's my opinion. I have an industrial strength black hat here who might disagree. She has a smirk.
So if I'm going to buy black hat links, first off, everyone who buys a link is a black hat then in my world. But
that's right.
I would go directly to SATE because it's a Russian link network. The black hat links, their injections. That I would go. The second place is learn how to do the injections yourself. And then the third place is to build your own network that you can do links. And I don't mean a PBN network because it's so expensive. Just do the Web 2.0s. You're going to get the same benefit if they're strong, in my opinion, at least.
There you have it, folks. that was some golden advice that I'm not going to repeat because what's going to happen is some people are going to do it wrong and I'm going to have to fix it. So I'm not going to.
Yeah. Don't do it if you don't know how. I'm just, that's what I do.
Yeah, if you're not entirely sure how, this is not the place. I mean, if you have a test site, go ahead and throw them at your test site and see what happens. But yeah, don't throw them at your money site until you test the quality of those links. Last question for today, or maybe not. See if I feel. Hoots Graphics asks, an e-commerce site ranks for a part that works within a system. They have duplicate products for each manufacturer, so it's like 5 of the same product with slight changes. Is this bad? Yes. Yes, it is bad. Google will auto-filter any results that are thin or duplicate on purpose. Technically, if you have like pink shoes, red shoes, blue shoes, you should be chronicling all those back into the main shoes page. But I have a master of e-commerce SEO on the chat today, and that will be Ted. And Ted, what do you think about that question?
Yeah, you definitely want to canonical to the parent level categories. The things I worry about in categories aren't so much how do you funnel that link value. I worry about more basic things, like I'll go to a store and I'll see a gifts and delights category. And right now in Google, category pages are very easy to rank. But when was the last time you or anybody searched for delights? I mean, if you did, you're probably looking for something that you wouldn't find in
Turkish delights, because you like sweet desserts, maybe.
So, look at your categories. Make sure that they're actually, category terms that have search volume. And the other practice that I see a lot is people won't have enough product, or they think they don't have enough product to fill a category. So they can join multiple categories together. And they'll have, socks and shoes as a category. When was the last time you searched for socks and shoes? You're just killing your SEO on pages that are easy to rank if you just don't go to the basics and look at what you're calling these things and making sure they have search volume.
Socks and shoes, they must match. I want a lightning bolt going down my sock into the shoe. Does anyone sell this? Good luck Google finding that. Yeah, I mean, if anybody searches, that's a very good point, Ted. If anybody searches for it, you should have a page for it. So, like, there was a good example on a John Mueller Hangout the other many months ago, where they were selling, what was it? It was cable. It was cable of different diameter sizes, I believe. And so, like a steel cable, 18-inch, steel cable, 14-inch, steel cable, 12-inch. People are, all right, Holly's got to leave. Thanks, Holly. We'll see you next time. If you want to catch more Holly Brilliance, watch my Hangouts, or come to Canada, come to our conference and see what Holly's going to say. She's going to blow your mind and probably change your life, literally change your life. I know just the information I found recently that would change your life. But anyway, so if people are searching for it, you should have a page for it. So if people are actually searching for black Converse shoes, then you should have a black Converse shoes page. If people are searching for red Converse shoes, you should have a red Converse shoes page. But if no one's searching for some kind of variation of your product, but you spit out a million pages of a million different variations of mostly fake search phrases. I just had a client like this recently. They're going to auto filter that site. That site had 4 million pages, and the actual living pages in the index was like 400.
And just to address that advice you just gave them, there's a good way to do it and a bad way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't fill your primary navigation with black Converse shoes, red Converse shoes.
No.
Put it in your XML sitemap, but leave your primary category navigation on your site untouched. Let Google find it in the sitemap and get it indexed for search.
Yeah, you can definitely do it that way. Or what do you think about on the Converse page? They have the variations: red, black, blue, polka dot, and so it's like a tree navigation. What do you think about that?
It can be confusing. So it might not be necessary at all, because people who weren't expecting to find, more nesting below the product page might be confused by it. I would kind of worry about it because I like the store to be a very efficient conversion funnel. And so from a product page, you're either going back to category or search results or moving forward to add to cart. And so I try to minimize anything that would be, a different route to go.
Exactly. You only want to give them one funnel. It's called the conversion funnel for a reason. They funnel down to converting. There's no clicks to go off to About Us or to Wikipedia or to see their mom's dog or whatever other links. Every link you put there statistically bleeds off people and cuts into your bottom line, into your dollars. And that, folks, is what it's all about.
Yeah. So and if you make them think, they'll probably leave.
Exactly. Yeah. This happens all the time when I'm doing an SEO audit and I'm looking at a page and they're paying me to be there and I can't tell for the life of me who they are, what they're selling, why I should buy it, why it's any good. I'm like, what are your conversions, like 0.1%? Like, that's the most terrible. Every audit I do, the people that don't understand converting for the web. Anyway, conversion funnels, people, it is the most important thing. What's the most important part of SEO? Has nothing to do with SEO. It's conversion funnels. It has to do with making sales so you can make money. And Google is directly tracking that these days. So my secret I found might have something to do with that. Maybe not. I don't know. You'll have to come to Canada to find out. Ted already knows what it is probably. So thank you very much, Ted, for joining. Thank you, everyone, for watching. This has been White Hat versus Black Hat SEO show. Tune in next week when I will solve the riddle of who murdered Jimmy Hoffa and many other mysteries. Does a Sasquatch exist? Hey, here's a fun fact for my last segment, random fact segment. Did you know that the word Sasquatch actually comes from where I live? The word Sasquatch is a Salish word of the Coast Salish tribe up here in Canada. They're the ones who apparently have seen this thing and named it Sasquatch. In fact, the island I live on, Vancouver Island, where they filmed the show Alone, I live on the south tip of it. They film it on the north tip, at very different places. They call it Ape Island. They actually call my island Ape Island. That would explain all the chest hair. I'm actually a Sasquatch. I'm just shaved down.
Yeah, just keep them off my lawn, Josh. Keep
Right,
them off my lawn.
Yeah, no, they're gonna swim all the way to Seattle. You're in trouble, buddy. Okay, thanks very much for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Oh, look at this! Just in the last second, just before I close the Hangout, my co-host Chase arrives. Chase, how you doing?
Hello, Clarice.
All right, bye, everybody. Have a good day.